Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is Tuesday, which means we have the BluePrint Power Hour where Coach Rob Regish answers your questions about training, nutrition, diet, drugs, really anything you want to talk about, we'll talk about. Nothing is off topic. So that's the first half of today's show. Second half of today's show, I've got a guy coming on the show that took issue with my monologue last week about calories in, calories out. And I offered him the opportunity to come on the show and kind of debate me. And he was brave enough to do it. And it's going to be good. I mean, it's all in good. Look, I don't claim to know everything. I am constantly learning. And so when Bill Jasiulewicz sent me his email and basically said that my calories in, calories out monologue was tantamount to baby talk, I thought, well, I'd like to hear why he thinks that. So he'll be on later in the show. Of course, before we get started, we have to thank our title sponsor, and that is Legendary Foods, makers of the amazing tasty pastry. If you haven't tried it yet, you're really missing out. They constantly have new flavors. I can't even keep up. But this is the Pop-Tart reimagined. Less than 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of high-quality protein, 4 to 5 net carbs, and your kids will love them too, which is really a good thing because getting your kids to eat stuff that's not crap is really one of the big things parents struggle with. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10. So they know that you learned about them here on Superhuman Radio. I promise you, you will love them and never want to be without them. And without further delay, let me get his music queued up here. I'm moving a little slow this morning. I don't know why. Here we go.
Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
And we need to welcome Oysen Day, who just loved today's show. Anytime you like or love or the show, we will give you a shout out. So thank you. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing well. Does anyone else have their own theme music? Am I special in that regard?
Yeah, you're special. Nobody else, no other show I do has theme music. No.
Yeah, well, we've been doing this for over a decade now, so maybe it's warranted.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, what's going on with you? How's your training and how's life in general?
My training was going excellent up until yesterday morning. I tweaked my lower back a little bit. I've certainly heard it a lot worse. I'm going to take a few days off to make sure I don't make it worse if I do go back into the gym. Wife, unfortunately, she went to the urgent care hospital this morning. Had some abdominal issues as she's had in the past. Hopefully it's a false alarm, but I told her, I said, for you and your history, it's the right move. You're in the right place.
Yeah,
So,
you can't take chances, especially with abdominal issues, because they can turn into deadly issues very quickly if you have an appendix burst, or people who have some other issues where their intestines kind of get twisted, food doesn't pass through. I mean, you can be in grave danger very quickly. So
that's the
not
one.
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, that's the one that scares me. The twisted intestines thing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out they're not lying when they say, "Hey, you could be in big trouble fast if you don't get medical care." So she did the right thing.
Paulo Destino says that I should put the YouTube speed to 1.25 times, and then I'll be more energetic. I think that's only in playback. I don't think putting on 1.25 now will actually get me to move faster, but it's a good thought. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll
That's
burn
a
more calories. Yeah, everybody should do that. I'll burn more calories. There you go.
great idea. I never thought of it.
Oh, really? Really.
Yeah.
So let's get right to it. We have lots of good questions. The first one comes from, and please post your questions if you're watching live, and we will get to every one of them. I promise you. Terrence Taylor says, I've heard you preach strength before, but little about pure hypertrophy. Why is that? And have you ever trained for pure hypertrophy?
Well, I've thought about this a lot, right? In my opinion, everybody trains for hypertrophy. In other words, nobody who lifts weights gets into this to get smaller, right? I mean, at least the men that are involved in it. Some of the women, of course, do want to get smaller, but I'm taking him from the male perspective. Occasionally, you will come across an athlete who needs to stay within or below a certain weight threshold, right? Wrestlers come to mind. They're always trying to make weight. By and large, though, the mutual goal is relatively straightforward: get bigger and stronger. And make no mistake, getting stronger and then getting bigger go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you show me someone who's gotten appreciably stronger over the past year or however many months, and 9 times out of 10, I'll show you somebody who's gotten bigger, right? Especially if they've been eating correctly. Now, conversely, I have never known a single individual who got weaker and somehow sprouted big muscles. It just, it doesn't happen. It doesn't work like that in our business. So the primary reason, though, that I preach strength and not hypertrophy is simple. You can measure it from workout to workout. And this is crucial insofar as keeping people motivated. Consistent training is, as you know, extremely important. It's hard to be consistent. It's hard to get motivated when you can't measure something at regular intervals, let's say. Hypertrophy almost always lags behind, right, getting stronger. And it seems to me that it's tied directly to volume. In HIIT, for example, you can get crazy strong with just one set, right? 6 to 10 reps, and either using more weight or getting more reps or both versus your prior workout. Those are all ways of getting a lot stronger. The only problem is that while your strength is skyrocketing, in many cases for months on end, your actual muscle growth will be negligible, or at least it will seem that way. And on the other hand, if you can achieve those same strength increases and sustain them somehow, somewhere, between 30 and 50 reps per muscle group, let's say, or movement total for the workout, and you do that more frequently, the muscle growth seems to come on a lot faster, right? And why is that? Well, there's a certain amount of mechanical work, volume, that's necessary to optimize muscle growth. We know this from the studies, and in fact, the frequency too. In some cases, 3 times a week, right, for a muscle. And yes, there are ways to measure actual muscle growth, let's say on a monthly basis. But here's the problem: unless you've got the coin for these very expensive DEXA scans, it's very difficult to do it and do it right. Now, hydrostatic weighing, yes, is another possibility, but that isn't cheap either, and it's cumbersome, and it's limited in most cases to, do you live around a major university that has those facilities? And oftentimes, as a project, the students will offer to do it a couple times a month just to, be proficient at it. Now, if you don't, if you still want a measurement, so to speak, for hypertrophy, and you don't have those
Called the
options
tape
available.
measure.
You what? What's that?
Called the tape measure.
Yeah. Well, the tape measure, and if you do have calipers, you don't have to be, use one of these Jackson Pollock. I don't know. I forget what method or ratio or formula they use to calculate body fat. But look, you're taking 3 pinches, right? One at the chest, one at the abdomen, one on the front of the thigh. You add up those skin fold millimeters and you compare it versus your scale weight and a couple of other tape measure things. And if the skin fold total of those 3 sites is the same or it's going down, and your weight is otherwise increasing, it's mostly muscle, especially if that waistline measurement either remains the same or it goes down. But the tape measure is making bigger circles elsewhere in the right places, like your arms and legs. Right. So the first step in getting there, though, remains this: getting stronger. It is what's measurable, workout to workout. It is what motivates, whereas actual muscle growth isn't. It's very difficult to measure. And until that changes, I don't see my message changing. Get stronger, and then we can take it from there.
And from an evolutionary perspective, increasing strength is not inhibited by physiological negative feedback loops, but growing muscle is inhibited. Myostatin is there to make sure you just don't become one huge muscular being, because muscle is metabolically expensive. So if you have really strong quads, people would always look at my quads and go, I can't believe how strong you are. Your legs don't look that big. Well, from an evolutionary perspective, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
But then when you look at Lee Priest's legs when he was competing, they look like turkey drumsticks. You know what I mean? They're just so swollen. That bigger muscle, that's more landscape. That's more fields to water. That's more cells to feed. And that is metabolically expensive. So you may get stronger and not get bigger. However, if you get stronger, then you can employ techniques to make you bigger. And I'll give you, for instance, I train on the ARX machine. It is making me so much stronger. And it has made my muscles bigger, but not as big as I would like them to be given how much stronger I've gotten. So here's what I started doing. I started employing blood flow restriction, because one of the things I don't get from ARX that you would get from a traditional higher repetition protocol, which is what grows muscle, by the way, because muscle congestion causes muscles to grow. That 5x5 doesn't make muscles grow, but you start doing 25 and 30 reps, now your muscles start growing because you're literally congesting and increasing the intramuscular pressure that pushes out and makes room for fluid to come in. So there's architectural changes that happen to the muscle. So I started using BFR bands, and son of a bitch, my upper arms after 2 sessions have already gotten bigger because I'm doing the ARX, but I'm using BFR bands to give me that missing congestion in the muscle that's going to stretch the muscle and make it bigger. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, and you hit the nail on the head. Another mechanism for growth is the actual, stretching, volumizing and stretching of that quote unquote bag, that muscle cell. And around that, of course, is the, what the hell's that tissue? It skipped my mind. Fascia, right. Thank you. Fascia, that to a certain extent can be modulated with heavy, loaded stretching, what I call it.
And fascia is restrictive. The analogy I use is this. So if you have a room that is 125 square feet and you want to buy more furniture and the room is full, you got to make the room bigger in order to fit more furniture in.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing with your muscles. If you want muscles to grow, then you have to take the walls that are restricting those muscles from growing, and you got to stretch them. And that's what muscle congestion does.
Yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. The final method of growth, and I'll just mention it quickly, is what I call substrate depletion. So if you're training very quick, short rest intervals in between sets, a lot of reps, you are exhausting the muscle of its chemical energy. And provided you eat correctly and sleep enough in between workouts, your body will put back a little bit more chemical energy than it started with, to make sure if that happens again, we need to be able to deal with that. And so that's another way to make muscles grow. But you'll never go wrong, never getting stronger. You can take it in
No,
any
and
direction.
that's what and the nice thing about getting stronger is, as Rob said, you have to set goals. The easiest goals to track are strength. If you're adding a plate, if you're adding a rep and you're keeping track, you're getting stronger. And that's why I say the noble pursuit of strength, because it is noble from the Greco-Roman days. Red Connor McCullough, thank you for the like. From the Greco-Roman days, strong people were revered. Not because you had to be afraid of them that they were going to kick your ass, because they were strong, and strength ensured longevity. You were capable of handling things that weaker people couldn't handle. So the noble pursuit of strength is something that everyone should pursue. And if you want to build muscle, you can employ some techniques that'll help you build muscle more efficiently, let's say. How about that?
Right.
All right. So the next question comes from Wally Carbo. My wife keeps coming home with detox this and detox that. Yeah, it's a primarily female thing. And they're being hoodwinked. What do you make of these products and detoxes in general? Is there any benefit to them?
Well, along the lines of what you just said, right? I mean, I hear the word detox, and to me, it's where the word natural was 25 years ago. It's still a very powerful selling word, right? It conveys something good, and they're selling this to mostly women. But there's a big market for it apparently, based upon the number of products that I see, that are out there now. Both detox, let's say, and natural, those both sound healthy, positive, and something that would generally be good for you. The reality is that both words are more marketing than anything, and especially so when you consider how the body really detoxifies itself. So let's talk about this. The oldest, cheapest, and I think the best detox method you will ever find is fasting. Now, that's whether you practice intermittent fasting or not. Fasting is how your body gets rid of a lot of cellular trash. Things like misfolded proteins, metabolic waste, et cetera, et cetera. If you doubt that, think about this. What happens when you get a very, very serious flu, right, or intestinal bug? Do you feel like eating big meals or even anything at all? No.
Oh, look at the animal kingdom. When an animal gets sick, they say, "Oh, he's off his feed." They stop eating. Why do you think that is? Because they want the immune system to work on fixing the body.
Right. And that was going to be my next point. If you lived on a farm or near a farm or even visited, they have a term for the animal when it gets sick and stops, goes off its feed. And it is doing it for the same reasons that you go off your feed when you are sick enough. The body's prioritizing the immune system in this battle to destroy the virus, right? Along with the metabolic stress that occurs during that battle. So it's the same deal as animals as with people, at least if you ask me. So the question then becomes: do these detox teas and the like, do they do anything better than a fast, right? To speed results, or at least result in somehow better outcomes? The answer, as far as I can see, is no. Not any more than what drinking a lot of water and perhaps some sauna while you're fasting does. Now, it's true that you can cause all kinds of increased, let's call them eliminations, if you decide to load up on things like natural laxatives, excessive magnesium, for example, herbal diuretics. For that matter, you can do the same with gram amounts of arginine and other amino acids. So, they'll eliminate things too. But I see no practical improvement above and beyond what fasting, hydration, and again, perhaps some sauna would accomplish. The American Indians, knew this, right? And other ancient cultures, they knew about the benefits of not just fasting, but also sweating, right? Because they knew if you sat in a teepee with a fire in it or close enough to it, it was going to create that sauna-like effect. And when you sweat more, out comes metabolic waste, and it helps fight diseases and et cetera, et cetera. So that, and the other thing is this, because I hear this a lot. Nature gave you a big helping hand already in eliminating toxins and pathogens. Maybe the strongest detox agent, if you will, that you could get your hands on. It's called your liver. And I think if you focus on keeping your liver healthy, not abusing it, and giving it things, if necessary, to increase its functioning, like things that build glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, liposomal glutathione, alpha-lipoic acid, etc.
Whey protein.
Correctly processed whey protein, right? It's high in cysteine residues, and therefore, you wind up with more glutathione. You're going to be in pretty good shape if you're doing all that, at least from the perspective of eliminating toxins. If it's necessary, and if you're intermittent fasting, sauna, try it. At least try it. I've read and seen and experienced some amazing things from sauna, including much higher growth hormone levels. I don't know if that transient increase is going to work like injecting growth hormone. Probably not, but still, every little bit helps. And you will feel, when it's all over, you will feel 10 times better than any tea, or whatever these other things are, and for pennies on the dollar, right? Those three things: intermittent fasting, sweating, and some select supplements, if necessary.
So I actually did a whole rant on this a few years ago, and it wasn't popular because people really want to believe that detox products work. First, let's address what people think detoxing is. They think that they're exposed to chemical toxins in the environment, and they want to get those toxins out of their body, not their intestines. At best, these detox teas and stuff may help extract some toxins that are in your intestines, but this idea that drinking lemon and hot water first thing in the morning detoxes your body is complete bullshit. And let me give you some evidence. Let's put on our critical thinking hats for a second. Toxins get stored where, Rob?
Fat.
In the fat. Okay. And if you have a lot of fat, then you have a lot of toxins stored in your fat. Could you imagine if drinking lemon and hot water first thing in the morning, like a dog whistle, tweet, 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 all the toxins left the fat? Where would they go? They'd go into your bloodstream, and they'd head to the liver, because that's the liver's job, to detoxify you. Has anyone remembered toxic shock syndrome from the bad tampons back in the 90s?
I haven't thought about it since then, but yeah, I remember it.
Do you know what would happen if all the toxins in your body were released into your bloodstream? You'd be dead. Yeah. Your toxic, your detox tea and your detox lemon water would kill you. Okay? Because and it's not doing that, because those toxins that are in your fat cells, they're staying put. I don't care what magical tea you drink or what magical diet you follow. That may make you crap out the toxins you haven't absorbed yet, but it's not ridding you of decades of toxins that are stored in your body fat. Right. So let's eliminate the bullshit for a second, right? So eliminating the toxins in your digestive system and not in your body is like only cleaning the hallways in your house, but letting the rooms turn to shit. Like the rooms are a mess, there's dirt and dust. The dog craps in there, you leave the crap, but you make sure the hallways are clean. Oh, the hallways are clean. So that's your body when you focus on detox products. Now, you want to really detox? Lose body fat slowly. donate blood every 2 months, make sure you shit regularly. Those are the things that are going to get rid of the toxins. And eat a diet with fat. When the American dietary recommendations said no more fats, people don't realize the number one cure if your child swallows poison, the first thing they tell them to give them whole milk and raw eggs. Why? Because the fat sequesters the toxins and it comes out the poop. We don't eat fat anymore, so the toxins have nowhere to go. They are absolutely all processed and put into our body. So lose body fat, which will slowly, and in fact, if you don't believe what I'm saying, there's a study that was done about 12 years ago that showed that women who underwent rapid fat loss had a 5-fold higher increase in breast cancer development. Yeah. Why? Because all of those toxins in their fat cells hit their bloodstream right away and triggered cancers. So lose fat slowly, donate blood often, and make sure that you have regular bowel movements every single day and eat fat. Don't be afraid of fat. And over time, over the course of years, you will reduce your toxic load. But you could drink all the hot water and lemon in the morning and think you're doing something, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah. The way I like to think of it is, look, you can train your metabolism to burn sugar, which most people do by restricting fat, or you can feed it fat and teach it how to burn fat and outgo the toxins with that over time. For everyone that's eliminated fat, your metabolism excels at burning sugar, and boy, when it runs out of it, it's not going to burn fat very easily.
That's the truth. Look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have a question from Lawrence Zabisco. So stay tuned. Plus, don't forget to post your questions if you have any. We'll be right back with more of the Blueprint Power Hour. Stay tuned.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
Are you suffering from signs of an unhappy gut? Diversity is the key to healthy, robust inner ecosystem. Body Ecology probiotic liquids are made by fermenting organic seeds, biodynamic brown rice, and chickpeas together to create a diverse culture found nowhere else on Earth. It's the secret to restoring your gut's microbiome for a healthier digestive tract, improved immune function, and longevity. Take 20% off by visiting the website shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco, shrnetwork.biz/bodyeco. That's BODYECO. And using the code SHR20. There have been no new innovations in men's underwear for hundreds of years. That's all about to change with Sheath. Sheath creates 2 separate compartments for your man stuff so it doesn't get smashed into a mound and sweaty and stinky. I won't wear any other underwear now that I've learned about Sheath, and you won't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Sheath underwear. That's SHEATHUNDERWEAR. Use code SUPERHUMAN to save 20% off. I promise you, once you try a pair of Sheath underwear, you will never wear anything else. The Hercules Pre-Workout from Lost Empire Herbs is like no pre-workout you have ever had before. Completely natural formula designed specifically to optimize workouts, provide quicker recovery time, provide adequate nutrition, and get you away from all those no-good, overstimulating pre-workout supplements on the market today. The Hercules Pre-Workout blend is a mix of extracted natural herbs, and mineral pitch. No fake colors, no added flavors, nothing else. Not only will Hercules Pre-Workout Formula help your workouts, but you'll likely discover lots and lots of side effects, beneficial side effects. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Lost Empire today to learn more. Are you 35 or older? Every year after puberty, your growth hormone decreases sometimes by 50% by the age of 35, and it only keeps going down from there. This affects everything from making it harder to recover from workouts, sleep, and a general loss of a sense of well-being. It also affects your ability to get and stay lean. BioPro Plus is the first of its kind, 100% non-synthetic alternative to prescription synthetic growth hormone treatments. All the benefits without any of the needles or side effects and 100% safe. Previously only available through doctors, you can go to shrnetwork.biz/biopro, that's BIOPRO, and use code SHR30 for $30 off today. GHKCU is one of the most effective peptides for rebuilding more youthful skin, reversing skin damage, diminishing wrinkles, and tightening loose skin. I personally use Restoracell with GHKCU every day. It's making an undeniable difference in the quality of my skin. Restoracell is fantastic for all types of skin. Now you can order Restoracell and save 25% when you use the code SHR25. That's SHR25. While you may be diligent in your workouts and your diet, don't neglect what people see first and foremost, and that's your skin. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blue and use code SHR25 today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
I'm baffled. I hear a phantom noise. I take my headphones off. It goes away. Oh, Brian, you suck. My friend Brian, he is the king of pranks. I mean, he comes up with the most brilliant pranks in the world. I'm running the commercials, and I hear this sound. And I take my headphones off, and it's gone. I got like, oh, it's coming out of my headphones. He's behind the wall there. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. All right, so let's go. The next question. The next question comes from Lawrence. How do you pronounce his last name? Zabisco? Zabisco. He says, a few weeks back, you mentioned beta-alanine, I think, was first discovered by the Russians, and maybe it was carnosine, obviously ecdie too, and I've also heard you mention they were ahead of the game when it came to training. They won lots of Olympic medals, too, in weightlifting. We never did, though. How come? That's true. We didn't. We were using that stuff, weren't we?
Yeah, and with respect to them being way ahead of the game with training, that's like the understatement of the century. But look, you can sum this up in one word. Why were we not as good as they were? Money. The former USSR and subsequently Russia, since then Russia, they have won a staggering 231 international weightlifting titles throughout the history of the Olympics. By contrast, the United States has a total of 55. And the last Olympic gold, at least in the men's division, came on or about 1960, right? So 60-something years ago. So what is going on? Well, I'll tell you this. It's not drugs. Everyone had the same drugs. Ken Patera himself told me, I had an in-depth conversation with him. First man to military press 500, I think, over his head. Took bronze in weightlifting in the 72 Olympics. But he said the same thing that I just said. He said, we all had the same drugs. So steroids are not and were not the issue. Gene pool, I don't know. I look at that as unlikely, as the United States has a pretty wide range, right? As much as the Russians do, or at least the USSR used to. It's not food. I honestly think the answer is in their training. Training was enough to spell that big of a difference. Training is that important. It's why I'm always harping on it. The question, though, is how do they develop these superior training methods? And I'll tell you how. They invested money, lots and lots of money, to understand what, how, and why training works to strengthen the human body and the mind.
And we're talking about, but what you're really talking about is state-sponsored athleticism.
Right, exactly, and I'll get into that. But it's an excellent point. It came down from the Soviet premier. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it well. We're gonna do it better than anybody in the world, and they did. And in the process of getting there, they left no stone unturned. They investigated everything from hypnosis to massage to hot and cold contrast showers to really weird stuff, to everything to find an edge. They even did blood work on their athletes to see what was happening with them just prior to, during, and after different training protocols.
Well, I want to mention something else. When you look at countries like Russia, China, they do everything they can, legal and illegal, to make their athletes superior on the world stage.
Right.
They fund them. They don't have to work. They just train all day long. They take care of their families so that their families have good lives, because in their mind, athleticism and strength is representative of the quality of the population. Not here in the United States. Here in the United States, purple hair, being really fat, and wearing Crocs and gray sweatpants is like what we want to display as we're sensitive and we're woke and all that sort of shit. But all those other countries, they know that. That's why when what was his name, the black runner who ran with two different shoes, and the Hitler was so pissed off, Jesse Owens, when he won that track meet at the Olympics, Hitler was pissed off for a lot of reasons. First of all, he was black. He was supposed to be part of the under race. Right. Number two, he ran with two different friggin' sneakers.
Can you imagine that?
And he beat them. And that was a testament to strength and will. And we used to be about that, the United States. Our fathers and our mothers were about that, strength and will to survive and persevere and do. Today, we're about, oh, I need a safe place because your words are hurting me. We are so fucked right now, you have no idea. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, those are all excellent points, but I'm going to try to give some context.
Get back on track. Try to get back on track from Carl now.
Everybody knows, right, what a genius Louis Simmons was. God rest his soul. But Louis was very candid when he was asked, "Hey, how'd you develop the conjugate method? The West Side system?" And he was blunt. He said, "I took a lot of it from old Russian texts, including a book called Super Training, put together by multiple Russian coaches and scientists that when it was published, it was like 30, 40 years ahead of its time. And it's a timeless book. It's very detailed, let's say complex, but it's worth the read, totally worth the read. In fact, if you read that book for just 5 minutes, you will see for yourself how they work to research, identify, and refine every possible strength gaining and training method to dominate Olympic weightlifting that there was. I mean, they eventually found things that nobody even knew about. Hypnosis. The story is they hypnotized many of their athletes, and this was confirmed later on after the Iron Curtain fell. They hypnotized them and then had them perform, let's say, a set, and usually they get 1 or 2 reps. They stopped it at like 6, 7, 8, 9 reps because these guys just kept going and going, and their bodies were not capable yet of absorbing all of that punishment. 1 rep, 1 more rep, 2 more reps, maybe. But these guys were just like machines. And so, think about it. The power of the mind is incredible. And we're still trying to harness that, but not in this country. Not for weightlifting anyway. They did.
No, we want people not to think. We just want people to let us change their baby's sex when they're 9 years old. make little
Yeah.
boys girls and little girls boys. I'm telling you something right now, folks. 50 years from now, those of us, this audience, the people who follow critical thinking, physical culture, health and fitness, getting to sleep on time, avoiding all these drugs, it's only going to be us left because the rest of them are going to be gone. The herd, the marching herd is going to march right off the cliff. Watch. You think someday somebody's going to find these videos and they're going to say, oh my God, this guy was right. All those people that we feel threatened by right now, they're not going to have children. They're not going to have children. They're stupid. Their stupid is going to be wiped right out of the gene pool. This is selection pressure at its best, everybody. This is it. All right. Let's get to a question from I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Did you have something?
No, I was just going to say, look, it shouldn't matter to you. It sure doesn't matter to me where this stuff is dug up and put into practice. But I will tell you, if you're looking for stuff like this, the former Soviet texts, current Russian texts, they're fertile ground. You'll continue to pull things out of it long after you read it once, twice, even 3 times.
The Russians embrace strong humans. The Chinese embrace strong humans.
Yep.
All of these other countries embrace human strength as a quality, except the United States. All right, look. Richard Miller, the fitness freak, says he's had these layoffs because of his retinal surgery. He says, I'm getting splints in my forearms. In my right arm specifically. Is this a form of overuse or weak forearms or both? Any tactics to fix this? You have any opinions on this? I do.
The only time I had forearm pain was as a result of overworking. It was too many curls, too much forearm work. I was hitting them directly, and I stopped hitting them directly. And shortly after that, most of that pain went away.
But splints are something different. Okay, so splints are actually the bones adding reinforcement. Okay, like horses when they train too frequently, and they're pushed. And I'll tell you something else. So women get shin splints because they pronate. When women run, because their hips are designed to allow a baby to pass through, they pronate. They rotate their feet. It hits the ground, and when they put it up, they rotate. And that rotation puts an excess strain on the shin splint, and they get splints. But splints are not just pain. They're actual, identifiable through X-ray, like additional bone growth on the bone. And so if you're telling me, that you have gone to the doctor and they've done an X-ray and they said, oh my God, you've got forearm splints, then I would look at the movements that you're doing. Like, are you pronating your wrist during curls? What are you doing that's straight armed? Are you doing push-ups on your fists? I would look at these types of movements that could be calling into demand that the bone on your forearms upregulate. Because that's what a splint is, actual new bone growth, but it's not even. It's not around the whole bone. It's just on one side only. And that one side is experiencing unusual stress that's telling the body he's going to break this if we don't make it stronger. That's exactly what a splint is.
Yeah, sounds a lot more serious than what I had. But
he's asking about tendonitis. Do you think it's tendonitis then? Have you been diagnosed with splints in your forearm? Have you been? You use that term specifically, splints. That is a medical term for a reinforcement of bone. Is that what you got? It's muscular pain, and usually from the bicep curls. Yeah, this is not splints. If you go to the doctor and he's done an X-ray of your forearm and he says you have a splint, that's something very, very different. Using that term threw me off because splints are a reinforcement of bone due to unusual stresses on that bone.
Most people probably wouldn't want to do this, but I would tell him eliminate bicep and tricep direct work for 1 month. And you might find, like I did, your arms actually grow at that point because they were so overtrained. And along with that overtraining, right, goes the forearm injuries type stuff.
And if it's on the inside of the forearm at the elbow, if it's on the outside of the forearm at the elbow, it's because you're pronating, you're overusing, you're pulling on that, and so you can actually get some prolotherapy done or just take time off. That's it. Just take time off until it doesn't hurt anymore, and then gently go back. Yeah, he diagnosed it himself, and I don't know where the word splint came from in your vocabulary, but a splint is very specific, very specific. Horned Frog, watching on YouTube also. Any thoughts on how soon to resume training and at what intensity after a COVID infection?
This has been very hotly debated. But I'll tell you this. The best COVID doctors in the world, in my opinion, that would be Dr. Pierre Corey, John Merrick, I forget who the other fella is. They are adamant that whenever COVID even may be present, all exercise stops for 30 days. I don't know if that's the right answer. I mean, they're doctors. They probably know better than I do. But their opinion is even light exercise you should not be engaging in it until such time as not only COVID's gone, but any long COVID symptoms as well. And they've developed certain protocols around that, and I would encourage you maybe to look into them at, I think it's flccc.net, Frontline COVID Critical Care Alliance, something to that effect. There's a lot of good information there. But exercise is a funny one. I don't know. What have you seen?
I saw a guy who had pneumonia related to COVID go back to the gym and die at the gym.
Yeah, and
he died from a thrombosis in his lung. He died from a blood clot in his lung. Blood clots are nasty. You could die not even working out from blood clots. That's why if you've had COVID, you absolutely should take steps to thin your blood. And that includes 1 or 2 baby aspirins at night before bed. And that includes copious amounts of fish oil. I take 4 to 6 grams, more than that actually, because each one of those is 1,400. So I take 6 to 9 grams of fish oil a day. My blood is so thin that I think I told this story already. I was cooking for 4th of July and I cut my thumb and I couldn't get it to stop bleeding. And I was like, am I going to have to go to emergency care? And then I remembered I put crazy glue in it and it stopped. But my blood is so thin, but that's what you want because you will not die from a blood clot. And so I would definitely be taking anything that'll thin the blood. Really, I would, because that's why people die from COVID. They die from blood clots and from the vaccine. Yeah,
and that makes sense. They're probably worried about some thrombotic event, right? That's going to result in a death, unfortunately, or damage.
I got to give a shout out to Johnny Elkin. He is watching and he liked us on Facebook. Thank you very much. Anytime somebody likes the show, we mention their name. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we have the BluePrint tip of the day. And then at the top of the hour, we will be joined by Bill. Boy, I got to look at his name. Isn't it funny? I can pronounce his name as long as I'm looking at it, but I can't get it off the top of my head. Bill's name is here. Wait a second. Let me bring him on. Bill, how do I pronounce your name? Jasiulewicz?
Jasiulewicz. That's it, Carl.
Okay. Sit tight. We're going to have you at the top of the hour. But Bill is going to take issue with my calories in, calories out monologue. He said it was too much baby talk, and so we're going to give him some time to chat with us. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Don't go away. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 10% off your entire first order. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. Never before has a product been so appropriately named as Botanic Tonics Feel Free. This plant-based elixir combines a variety of different effective compounds, all from raw plant materials that at different doses provide you with completely different experiences. A third of a bottle puts you in the zone and makes you very focused and is ideal for a non-stimulating pre-workout. It also has a mild analgesic effect for us older lifters who have soreness and little pains and aches that keep us from training as ferociously as we want. A half a bottle will create a mild euphoric effect that will allow you to forego consuming alcohol but still be socially lubricated and have fun. I have never had a product deliver on its name the way Botanic Tonics Feel Free does, and I won't ever be without it, and you shouldn't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/feelfree and use the code SHR40 for 40% off your first order. I promise you, you will not be disappointed.
Dogs should be powered by fat and protein, not carbs. That's why Visionary Pet makes low-carb, ketogenic dog food for dogs of all breeds and life stages. From kibble to freeze-dried and even low-carb treats, all Visionary Pet recipes are very low-carb, ketogenic, and made with 100% real meat protein. Shop now and use code SHR for 20% off your first order today. Your dog deserves the lifelong benefits of optimal nutrition. Make the switch to Visionary and see why smart dogs eat low carb.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
P3OM from Bioptimizers is a patented prebiotic and probiotic supplement with Lactobacillus plantarum OM. It has now been upgraded to P3OM 2.0 with the addition of a superfood formulation that makes it 2 times stronger, as well as optimizes L. plantarum's strength. So it's more powerful than ever, which means that not only will it help you completely digest all animal proteins, it also reduces cortisol, causes deep relaxation and better sleep, and reduces stress. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3-OM today and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. I just want to make an announcement real quick. I get a lot of people who contact me that want help with peptides. Well, if you are somebody who's investigating peptides, no one has been talking about peptides longer than me, period, end of story. We did our first show about peptides in 2006. The reality is Dr. William Seeds, who authored a book about peptides, first started listening to my show about peptides. All those years back, he even emailed me and thought, "Wow, you're really making some amazing ground here in this area that's completely undiscussed." I use peptides. I read about peptides. I know what peptides are capable of doing, and I know what bullshit is that they're not capable of doing. I get people who say, "What peptide will help me lose weight?" Well, the peptide that'll stop you from eating so much, and that doesn't exist. You have to use willpower. So if you are interested in a consult about peptides, It's a 30-minute consult. There is a charge for it, but you can email me at hello@superhumanradio.net. We'll send you all the information you need to make an intelligent decision. Okay, so what is the blueprint tip of the day, Rob?
Tip of the day is about never stopping learning, ever. Never, never, never. And a lot of this came from that question about, why hasn't the U.S. medaled in weightlifting in the past 60 years? That really got me thinking, right? Thinking about what happens when somebody gets just past the newbie stage, and after those gains peter out, then what, right? Because that is a crucial time. That's a make or break time in people's strength training journey for a lot of them. And the moves that you make during that time or not is going to, largely determine how successful you are at this activity, even if you continue to plow hours and hours and years into it. You're either going to learn how to bust plateaus and deal with adversity like injuries or not. And let's be honest, most people who stick around long after their body, or most people don't stick around rather, after their body stops responding, right? Because it's a lot of work for nothing really. In some respects, I can't blame them. Like the New Year's resolution crowd, they're all beat up because they've been going every day for a month and nothing's changed. Well, the hell with this, my body's not changing. Why should I keep doing this? But for those of us who stick around, there is work to do, but also rewards to reap. What you're going to find is that learning something new is what's going to help you break that plateau. And likewise, that plays into your confidence. And so what I'm saying is, when you hit plateaus in the future, and you know this business, that you absolutely will, you will still have the confidence because you have already overcome 1, 2, 3 plateaus, and you know how to go about solving the puzzle. Now, it is true, the puzzle only gets harder the longer you play. And the answers to your questions are only going to get more complex. The puzzle is never solved like a traditional puzzle by looking at the final picture on the front of the box and saying, hey, that's what I'm building. No. The puzzle is only solved after better understanding the missing pieces. It really is that simple and complex, which is why it's such a vexing thing. And people respond to that sometimes in odd ways. Some give up. Other people it makes them more determined, right, to solve Rubik's Cube or whatever. I just dated myself. But there's a lot of people out there that see their ideal physique, right, in their mind's eye, mistakenly thinking that if they focus on that long enough, it'll eventually happen, right? And I'm here to tell you it won't. That's a trap. The only way that you will get there is by gathering and quantifying those missing pieces and better understanding where they all fit. Those missing pieces, by the way, are almost always as follows: training, diet, rest, and sleep. The problem is people typically go looking elsewhere. They think there must be some steroid or supplement, right, missing piece. And I'm here to tell you that too is a trap. People, and I've been guilty of this too. People waste months, sometimes years, majoring in the minors on what form of creatine they want to take, instead of the fact they haven't changed their routine in 3 years. I mean, come on, right? If you're going nowhere fast, or your body hasn't changed in a while, you need to take a step back and take a fresh look at what's missing. And again, it's almost assuredly found in the training, diet, or sleep. No matter what anybody else tries to tell you, no matter what companies try to tell you, their supplements are the answer to your questions and problems. That's not true. The real truth is what I just told you. And I would encourage you to invest in yourself from now on, learning more about those topics. I've always heard, hey, when you stop learning, you stop growing. I've never understood and appreciated how accurate that is until I got into this business and learned it the hard way. So today, I'm not asking you to buy my stuff or anybody's stuff for that matter. I just want you to answer one question. Have you made an attempt anytime recently to learn more about those missing pieces? Because if you haven't, I can show you the massive upside to doing things differently. And that's that.
Big shout out to Brandon Bickle, who just liked the show on Facebook. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And of course, don't forget, go to CoachRobRegish.com. And if you go there today, you'll be stronger tomorrow. How about that? That's a pretty good deal. Huh? All right, Coach. Thanks so much for all the heavy lifting.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, Bill Jasiulewicz is I'm butchering his name until I can read it. I'm sorry. I have to look at it. It's one of those names that I have to look at and phonetically sound out in my head before I say it. But he has an opinion about my monologue, my very first monologue on calories in, calories out.
Yep.
And in the spirit of what you just said, I'm always willing to learn and looking to learn. And so, how many shows? You think Dave Asprey has guests come on that are from his audience who take issues with him?
Doubt it.
I don't think so. All right, look, we'll be right back with more. Stay with us.
Good luck, man.
Never before has a product been so appropriately named as Botanic Tonics Feel Free. This plant-based elixir combines a variety of different effective compounds, all from raw plant materials that at different doses provide you with completely different experiences. A third of a bottle puts you in the zone and makes you very focused and is ideal for a non-stimulating pre-workout. It also has a mild analgesic effect for us older lifters who have soreness and little pains and aches that keep us from training as ferociously as we want. A half a bottle will create a mild euphoric effect that will allow you to forego consuming alcohol, but still be socially lubricated and have fun. I have never had a product deliver on its name the way Botanic Tonics Feel Free does, and I won't ever be without it, and you shouldn't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/feelfree and use the code SHR40 for 40% off your first order. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today. There have been no new innovations in men's underwear for hundreds of years. That's all about to change with Sheath. Sheath creates 2 separate compartments for your man stuff so it doesn't get smashed into a mound and sweaty and stinky. I won't wear any other underwear now that I've learned about Sheath, and you won't either. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Sheath underwear. That's SHEATHUNDERWEAR. Use code SUPERHUMAN to save 20% off. I promise you, once you try a pair of Sheath underwear, you will never wear anything else. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/White Oak and use the code SUPERHUMAN to save 10% off your entire first order. Are you 35 or older? Every year after puberty, your growth hormone decreases sometimes by 50% by the age of 35, and it only keeps going down from there. This affects everything from making it harder to recover from workouts, sleep, and a general loss of a sense of well-being. It also affects your ability to get and stay lean. BioPro Plus is the first of its kind, 100% non-synthetic alternative to prescription synthetic synthetic growth hormone treatments. All the benefits without any of the needles or side effects and 100% safe. Previously only available through doctors, you can go to shrnetwork.biz/biopro, that's BIOPRO, and use code SHR30 for $30 off today. I would easily say that I am the hugest proponent you will ever meet to doing anything that will improve the quality of my sleep. And that's because sleep is linked to just about every metabolic disorder we see in our population today. One of the easiest things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep is to get a pillow that can be shaped into the exact form factor that allows you to get your best night's sleep. And that is MyPillow. I've been sleeping with MyPillow for a few years now, and I can tell you that when I have to travel and stay in hotels, I don't get a good night's sleep because I don't have MyPillow with me. Right now, you can save up to 60% off of everything offered to improve the quality of your sleep at shrnetwork.biz/MyPillow when you use the code SHR. Or you can call toll-free 800-889-4938. And remember to use code SHR to save up to 60% off of everything at their website. P3OM from Bioptimizers is a patented prebiotic and probiotic supplement with Lactobacillus plantarum OM. It has now been upgraded to P3OM 2.0 with the addition of a superfood formulation that makes it 2 times stronger, as well as optimizes L. plantarum's strength. So it's more powerful than ever, which means that not only will it help you completely digest all animal proteins, it also reduces cortisol, causes deep relaxation and better sleep, and reduces stress. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3-OM today and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Welcome back to Superhuman Radio, and welcome Bill Jasiulewicz to the show. Bill, are you a long-time listener of the show?
Years, definitely years.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So just let me set the stage. My very first monologue I did on calories in, calories out. And I talked about, we're not talking about casual dieting, right? It's pretty much what most people do today is casual dieting. They want to look a certain way. They want to lose a certain amount of weight and so on. But from a dieting standpoint, I used this picture of some prisoners of war who underwent starvation, and there's not a fat one in the group. And I said, this proves that calories at the end of the day are all that count. And Bill listened to my monologue and challenged me. He said, and I actually have some excerpts here that we'll put up, but he basically says, Carl, what you did today was tantamount to baby talk. He said it was a baby talk, calories in, calories out monologue. He said, I called baby talk on your recent CICO monologue. I'm a skinny, fat, 200 pounds, 57-year-old male on TRT with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, among other things. And then you went ahead and you detailed how you've manipulated your calories. You said, I spent 6 months eating about 3,000 calories a day and progressing in my resistance training, but was getting fat. And then you said, I reduced my calories and kept progressing until 2,700 calories per day, but my waist was still getting larger and my pants were getting tighter. At 2,600 calories a day, I stopped making any progress in resistance training, but my pants were still getting tighter. So much so that I bought a Glock 48 to be my smaller everyday carry. Very few people would relate to that but me, because I'm not buying bigger clothes. Normally I carry the 17 and the 19, but I got my gun buddy samples. You're talking about me. Have I gotten samples for you yet, right?
Yeah.
I'll get you one. We should have 125 in our hands in just a few weeks. At 2,500 calories a day, my weight is stable enough that if I'm gaining weight, it's fractions of a pound. But of course, resistance training is now regressing with about half the intensity. I'm currently at 2,400 calories a day in hopes of reducing my waist while lowering my intensity enough to maintain what little muscle I have. You cannot convince me that there isn't a big hormonal difference between, say, Coach Rob and me. Let me see. Is this my notes or somebody else? Let's see what this is. In the extreme, as the form of baby talk, calories in, calories out is the rule. But where the rest of us live in the middle, that's what we have to deal with. Okay, so we've kind of primed the audience. So let's talk. I'm going to ask you a question first. Okay?
Sure.
Would you consider your dieting what I talked about as casual dieting?
I'm very regimented and strict in what I do, so I wouldn't call it really casual. I mean, on the extreme end, even though right now I'm doing these calories, I used to be 320 pounds.
Okay.
I went down to a record low of 150. My waist was where I wanted it, but everything else was atrocious. In the process of doing that midway, I gained and re-lost another 50. So that's a total weight loss of at least 220 pounds. So when it comes to calorie restricting, I've been a lot more than casual in the past. Right now, since you and coach and a lot of others say when you're not progressing in resistance training, you're not eating enough. And I tried all sorts of things to get around that. And you're absolutely 100% correct. As I detailed with the calories, I'm in this razor thin margin in the middle where if I'm eating enough to progress, I'm still gaining weight, even though I'm physically active.
Okay, so we're going to address your situation in 1 second because I have some ideas. But I'm going to ask you a point blank question. If you ate one potato a day for the next 6 months, do you think that you would continue to carry the body weight that you carry?
Well, absolutely not. That's why I said it's baby talk. It's not that you're wrong. It's just an extreme oversimplification.
Well, no, it's not, and I'll explain why. If somebody said if I set fire to a house and it burnt, look, baby talk was created by Joel Green because too many people want to oversimplify very complex situations, and I would offer that mine is not baby talk because ultimately, if you starve, you lose weight. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all, and that all I was making the point of was outside of casual dieting. Now, let me tell you what I mean by casual dieting. In the late 1800s, diets became a thing because for the first time, human populations didn't have to hunt and gather. They had farmers delivering milk, and they had refrigeration, and they were eating all the time, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, where as a population, malnutrition was the thing. Now we had, especially the elite and wealthy, not the farmers, but the elite and the wealthy were getting fat. So I call this casual dieting. What I mean by casual dieting is you're not willing to starve. You want to diet, but you also want all these other things. Like you don't want to be hungry, and you don't want to, and you want to build muscle, and all of that is clustered into what I call casual dieting. Because on the other side of casual dieting is starvation. And if people starve, they lose weight. And that proves calories are king. Because if, in fact, calories weren't that important, hormones were more, there would have been at least one fat guy in that group picture. There would have been one guy that just doesn't lose weight. They don't understand why. So, but we're going to address your situation specifically. So, this form of leukemia, are you on any type of chemo or onco drugs?
No, it's considered stage 0. They used to try and treat it, but they gave up years ago.
Okay.
I mean, the industry as a general gave up.
Okay. One of the problems that we have when we talk about diet is no one really knows how much energy their body is using in a day. We think we know, right? We're like, oh, I'm very active. But the reality is hormonal influences can choose where you store fat. We see this in women and men as they age. But you have to be making fat in the first place. And in order to make fat, it is absolute that the energy you're consuming is more than the energy you're using. No one knows how much energy they use in a day. Unless you go and you live in a metabolic ward at at a university for 3 days, and they go, oh yeah, when you're not working out or nothing like that, you're going through 1,600 calories a day. Now so I have to add working out and less than 1,600 calories a day to lose weight. But really, no one knows. You don't know how many calories you burn. I don't know how many calories I burn. So we're really just guessing at that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I also just recently read Dr. Jasiulewicz, Why Calories Don't Matter, and even he admits that we can't really measure exactly how many calories we're using. Even you put people in those rooms where they calculate absolutely everything. I mean, I guess they can get pretty close, but you and I are never gonna know that.
But let me tell you how you can figure this out on your own. First of all, you get a MyFitnessPal and you record everything you eat for 2 weeks. You don't judge, you don't do anything, you just record it. That's it. And at that point in time, you look at your weight and you get yourself a really good activity tracker, whether that be an Oura Ring. I think you're wearing an Oura Ring, it looks like from here, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's okay. And a Fitbit.
There you go. So what I would submit to you is all those deviations where you were eating less and less, but you were still getting thick around the waist, you still weren't eating less than your body was burning every day. And that's why you continue to get thick around the waist.
I agree, but your contention that we store fat more than we burn is not always true. We know there's a razor thin margin between lipoprotein lipase and hormone-sensitive lipase, which control their breakdown, the lipogenesis and the lipolysis, and that all you need is a small balance, differentiation between those two, because the fat cells are in constant flux. There's always stuff going in and coming out. And if one of those is slightly dominant over the other, over the course of just a year, you can gain a significant amount of weight. And balance.
Look at this picture, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me which guy had the imbalance in lipase. Tell me which guy had the non-functioning thyroid. Which guy had the thrifty gene. Can you look at these guys and say?
No, it doesn't matter, because the caloric restriction is so severe that dwarfs any effect from the hormones.
And that is what people have a hard time with understanding. You literally have to starve to lose weight. When you look at bodybuilders who are dieting down for 20 weeks, they talk about how mean they are and grumpy. They don't sleep well. They're depending on caffeine to get through the day. It's because it is painful to diet down. And the reality is, we humans, we don't like a lot of pain. We really don't. I'm not picking on you at all. And I agree with you. I really do. I agree with you that there are challenges that get in the way of what I call casual dieting. What a bodybuilder does 20 weeks out from a bodybuilding competition, that's not casual dieting. They're cutting literally thousands of calories a week out of their diet. They are in pain. Female competitors lose their period. That tells you how extreme they're starving, because the only time a woman will lose her period is during famine. And so what I'm trying to get across to people is, if your dieting isn't working, you have not cut calories enough, period. Now, strength is a different thing. Strength is a completely different thing. And that's why whenever Porter Cottrell used to take on clients, he would have them do nothing but cardio and diet for the first 5 months. And he would say, let's see how lean we can get you. Because he knew that he wouldn't be able to build strength in somebody. You're not going to build strength in a dieting phase. Even bodybuilders lose strength when they're dieting. That's why those videos of Ronnie Coleman front squatting 780 pounds 3 weeks out from the Olympia were amazing. People don't understand. He was carb depleted. He was calorie depleted. He was at his weakest. So you're going to have to make a decision, Bill. Do I want to get lean or do I want to get strong? And if you want to get strong, you're going to end up upping your calories. And because of your unique situation, you'll probably start to create more body fat. But if you want to get lean, then focus on that and go to it, and damn the battleships. You know what I mean? Just go for it and you're going to be miserable and uncomfortable for maybe a few months, but you'll get lean. And then you roll back and you boomerang, and then you start focusing on strength.
Well, my overeating phase was deliberately ad libitum because I was adding carbs back because I'm normally keto. And so I did not want to limit that. If I was hungry, I wanted to eat. I wanted to see where I fell on that continuum. And it was rather high, and I gained more weight than I wanted, but it was conscious. What you're saying now, and what I would agree with, is I'm going to have to, like this last week, 2,400 calories. Now, I know it's probably mostly water weight from inflammation dropping off, but I dropped 4 pounds.
Right.
If that's consistent in another week, I'll up the calories again a little bit more and try and get a little lower. But I realize that it is impossible for me to recomp. I'm sure people like Coach Rob can recomp, but for me, it's going to have to be get the fat off.
Yes.
And then when I get enough, control that a little more slowly, stick it at 2,700 instead of 3,000, and make some progress for another couple of months after. A typical cycle, it's what was it?
How much do you weigh? How much do you
200.
weigh?
200.
Okay. So 1,800 calories. If I was working with you and you said, I want to lose weight, I would put you at 1,800 calories, but I wouldn't. I would have you eat small meals multiple times a day. I wouldn't do keto. I would do moderate intermittent fasting. Stop eating at 6. You can start eating the next morning at 6 or 7. I would have you have a meal before you worked out so that you had energy for the workout. But 9 calories per pound of body weight is where I find people lose body weight. But you're not going to get stronger. You won't get stronger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 2,400 right now, and I'm not getting stronger. This last week, I've decreased. I was doing Coach Rob would be proud. I was doing 4 reps of with the 60-pound weight vest pull-ups, and it was pretty strong. That's
fucking awesome. That's actually very awesome.
Yeah, this week I got 2. I could get a third maybe if I struggle, but the point was I definitely regressed this last week, and I can't train that hard eating with this few calories.
Yeah, and that's what it, and this is my point. At the end of the day, calories really do make the difference. However, they're not going to give you like we want to diet, we want to build muscle, but we want to lose body fat, and we want to sleep well, and we want to have energy, and that's not how it works. The body, you got to pick a lane, and you got to get in it, and you got to stay in it for a while until you get where you want. And then you can pick the next lane and do something different. But, and especially at our age, I'm 64, you're 50, you're almost 60, right?
57. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, at our age, the body isn't as cooperative as it once was. And at our age, the body is much faster to downshift energy expenditure to protect body fat, because we're at that age now where, oh my God, if something happened and famine came, we'd die because we're not going to perform like the young guy. We're going to have a harder time. So from an evolutionary perspective, as you get older, the body goes, oh shit, this guy's not eating. Let's turn down the energy. Let's turn down the thyroid. Let's slow down metabolism. Let's slow down how fast food goes through this guy because he's not eating. So I think you're going to have to pick a lane, and you're going to have to put up with the pain, and you're going to probably have to spend a good 3 or 4 months there, and you'll get lean as hell.
Oh,
and then,
I agree. It's either I've got to do it in 2 separate phases. I can't do a recomp where I get both done at the same time. I just don't have the youth for it anymore.
Okay. Now, do you use ginger extract at all with your leukemia?
I got the ginger stuff that you recommended from eBay. Good. I use that on a pretty regular basis.
Very good. Very good. That's good. Okay. Well, that's it. But I do take what you say seriously. I take what everybody in my audience says seriously. And I also want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about it.
Sure. It's been fun. Thank you, Carl. Okay.
All right, Bill. Take care. Have a great week, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
All right, that's it for today. We have plenty of shows all week long. Please share the show whenever possible. It helps the sponsors, which helps me in turn. Thank you for being here. Let me make sure I got all the shout-outs done. Yes, Brandon Bickle, Johnny Elkin, Red Connor McCullough, and, of course, Oysen Day. And we will see everybody tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Thank you for being here.